Hello friends, welcome to our channel Igno Center. Today we gone with the topic the playboy of the western world. Here in today's lesson we going to deal with the character and full summary notes of MEG-02 British drama The Playboy of Western World. So friends, first of all we deal with character. Here our first character is Christy. Full name Christopher Mahone. Christy is an attractive man in his 20s. He entered the play rack from being on the run and reveal he has murdered his father. Old Mahone, he is quickly embarrassed as a hero by the residents of Country Mayo, especially Pigin Mike, to whom he is briefly engaged. The audience later learned that Christie was always a submissive, cowardly boy before striking his father, but he comes to embody the hero that he claimed to be as the play progresses. Here, the second character is Old Mahone. Christie's father, called Old Mahone, is a mean drunk who terrorizes Christie throughout the boy's childhood. He entered the play with a bleeding bandaged head and words lastly between being a blubber and an angry man. Then in third we have Michael James. Michael James Flaherty is father to Begin Mike and the owner of the pub where the play is set. Though he make overtures towards being respectable and moral, he is actually a heavy drinker who compromises his principle without much second thought. And then in fourth we have Honor Blake. Honor is a giggling teenage girl and a resident of Country Mayo. She is quite smitten with Christie. And then in fifth we have Peggy Mike, full name Margaret Flaherty. Peggy Mike is the 20 years old daughter of Michael James. She is engaged to Son Kyung at the top of the play and later engaged to Christie for a short period, though she in many ways transcends the limitation of Country Mayo, though her sweet intelligence, feisty personality and notable beauty, she nevertheless proves incapable of leaving Mayo behind when she repudiates Christie. And in sixth we have Widow Queen, a smart scheming 30 years old widow of Country Mayo. Widow Queen has a pronounced dislike for Piggy Mike. She is a shrewd woman who navigates deal with several different characters. As she pursues Christie for herself, she is also a role model to the younger women like Honor Blake, Sarah Tansey and Susan Brady. And then we have our next character, Son, a resident of Country Mayo. Son Keogh is a fat and a fair young man in his early 20s. Though engaged to begin Mike at the beginning of the play, he repulses her thought, his pronounced cowardice and whiny submission to the church. He is also caution to Widow Queen. And then we have Philly. Philly and Jimmy was the friend of Piggy's father. So Philly Kuhl is a local farmer of Country Mayo and friend to Michael Flaherty and Jimmy Farrell. Then we have next character Jimmy. Jimmy Farrell is a local farmer of Country Mayo and friend to Michael Flaherty and Philly Cullen. Then we have Sarah Sarah Tensi is a village girl and sidekick to Widow Queen. Then we have Susan. Susan Brady is a village girl and sidekick to Widow Queen. And then we have a bellman. Though the bellman is mentioned in Sniggy character list, he has only a tiny, not speaking role in the play. And then we have some pleasant. Sangi lists some pleasant in his character list, though they have no scripted line. However, they do provide important motivation for Christie in the final act as they celebrate and then mock him. And then we have our last character, Nellie. Nellie is a village girl and sidekick to Widow Queen. When we say sidekick to Queen, there was a full girl who came to visit Christie when he was in the pub. So let's begin with the play Boy of the Western World wholesome summary. First of all, I'm going to say something about the novelist or the dramatist as John Milton Signy three-act play. The play Boy of the Western World had its debut in Dublin in 1907. It takes place in the early years of 20th century in the County Mayo area of Ireland. The setting is a pub owned by Michael James Fahey and has its central character Christy Mahon. Christy is a young man from a farmer who tells the patrons at the pub that he has killed his father. Fatty's daughter Peggy, a barmaid at the establishment, becomes taken with Christie's story. The play is known for its use of poetic language and Irish dialects. In a preface to the play, Signy lauds the Irish people for having such a colorful language. As Act 1 begins, Peggy is in the pub tending to plan for her pending wedding to Sean Keegan. Her father is not present as he is attending a wake. When Shaw enters, he talks of an unsettling darkness outside, promoting a nervous Peggy to ask him to stay with her. He tells her that would not be proper as they are not married yet. Instead, he says he will send Widow Queen to keep her company. He also says that he heard the cries of a man outside. At this point, a drunken Michael Fahey enters with Campion, Philly, and Jimmy. Michael insists that Shaw remain with his daughter, but Michael continues to refuse and exits the scene. In short order, he returns to the pub as say he has seen a face looking up for a ditch where he earlier heard the man's voice. The scared Christy Mahon come into the pub. He wants to warm up by the fire. Shortly he let it be known that he is fleeing the authorities. He says little else but is eventually pushed to tell his story. Christy tells him that he has killed his father, which rather than shocking the onlookers seemed to impress them. Having never before met a man who could commit such an act, Michael offered him a job for the evening, staying at the pub so Peggy does not have to be alone. Michael and his friends then depart from the wake, which they had not made it to earlier. The prospect of Christie staying interests Peggy, who at the point dismissed Sean. Peggy offered Christie multiple compliments, Widow Queen attempts to seduce Christie, but Piggin quickly sends her away. The widow makes certain to let Christie know that Piggin is engaged to Son before she exists. Christie is crestfallen at this news as he has already fallen for Piggin. Continuing to build on the attraction she feels for him, Piggin tells Christie that Son is a coward whom she would never marry. She goes to bed leaving Christie thinking that had he known he would become so revered, he would have killed his father sooner. By the next morning, as Act 2 opens, word of Christie has spread through the village and several girls show up wanting to see what the fuss is about. The flirt with him and learn they flirt with him and learn that Widow Queen has arranged for him to participate in a sporting event at the beach later in the day. Over breakfast, Christie elaborates on the murder, how it began as a fight with his father over a proposed marriage, which the father set up for Christie. When his father came at him, Christie killed him with a spade. By that morning, it became clear that Piggin and Christie are in love. Son and Widow Queen enter the scene and send Piggin out to tend to her sheep that have wandered away. Son then offered to send Christie to America to get him out of the picture. He refused, and when he exits, so promise reaches to the widow if she can somehow come between Christie and Piggin. The widow agrees, saying she will get Christie to marry her and not Piggin. When Christie enters, he sees, though, the widow what seemed to be the spirit of his father, old Mahon, with bandage around his head. Christie hides and old Mahon asks the widow if she has seen anyone matching the description of his son. She sent him to the dock, claiming to have seen him preparing to get aboard a boat. Worried that Piggin will not stay with him if he so cowardice at the appearance of old Mahon, Christie turned to the widow for help. She strike a deal with him for things he will be able to provide when the day comes that he is owner of the pub. Christie is taken to the sport contest, and the widow is confident that the truth will eventually be known, and Piggin will leave Christie, who will then turn to the widow. Act 3. Find Philly and Jimmy entering the desolate pub where old Mahon arrives and asks the man about his son. When Widow Queen arrives, she tells them that old man is just a madman seeking attention. As Christie approaches the pub, a conquering hero from the sport competition, the widow convinces old Mohan that he is seeing things because of his injured head, which led him to exist to have himself committed to an asylum. Upon returning, Christie proposes to Piggy, and she accepted. Michael and Shaw enter, and Michael insists that Piggy marry Shaw, who should fight Christie for her hand. Shaw refuses, promoting Michael to accept Christie as his daughter intent. Old Mahon returns and tells Piggin the truth about Christie. Fighting ensues along with an uproar among the surrounding crowd, and ultimately Christie kills his father for real. assuming Pigin will take him back, but she does not. Michael with Pigin and Philly help tries up Christie. More fighting takes place. Old Mohan crawls back in and frees Christie, who asks Mohan if he has come to be killed for the third time. Mohan is not concerned with any of the other and orders his son to live with him. So assume that Pigin will now marry him, but she sent him away and sorrowful over the loss of Christie, says, "Oh my grief, I will lost him surely. I will lost the only playboy of the Western world." So friends, till here your story and if you like the video, you give a share, like and subscribe to our channel. And this was the detailed summary of the play, so hope you all understand it well. Thank you.